Everybody claim they run things, treadmill kings, they be stationary stunting. Fourth and long, lots of yards, y'all be punting. We be hitting homers, baby boy, you just be bunting.
YouTube salute, here to talk about Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith, who was the best running back of the 1990s, that decade. So if you're new to my channel, thumbs up the video. Hit the subscribe button, click the bell icon to be notified when I upload new content and go live. Also, cast your vote for Kofi's Hip Hop Hall of Fame. The link is in the description. All right, so let's start with Barry Sanders. He was drafted by the Detroit Lions in 1989. Emmitt Smith was drafted by the Cowboys in 1990. He played with them till 2002, went on to the Cardinals for 2003-2004. Barry Sanders retired in 1998. They both played running back. All right, height. Barry Sanders was 5'8", Emmitt Smith 5'9". Barry Sanders was 203 pounds. Emmitt Smith 221 when they was playing. Barry Sanders was drafted 3rd overall in the 1989 draft. Emmitt Smith was drafted 17th overall in the 1990 draft. Barry Sanders never went to the Super Bowl, never has a Super Bowl ring. Smith has 3 Super Bowl rings. He went to the Super Bowl 3 times, 1993, 1994, and 1996. Barry Sanders was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2004. Smith, 2010. Barry Sanders' number is retired. Smith isn't. Barry Sanders won the MVP in 1997. Smith, 92 and 93. Emmitt Smith was a Super Bowl MVP one time. Pro Bowl, Barry Sanders has 10 Pro Bowls appearances. Smith, 8. First team All-Pro, Sanders 6, Smith 4. Second team All-Pro, 4 Sanders, Emmitt Smith 1. Rushing yards leader, they both have 4. So they tie right there. Rushing touchdown leaders, Sanders 1, Smith 4. Offensive player of the year, Sanders 2, Smith 0. All right, so they played. Smith played 211 games, Sanders 153 games because he retired early. That's why. Sanders started 151 games. Smith 204. Rushing attempts 3,062 for Sanders. Smith 4,142. Rushing yards, Sanders 15,269. Smith 17,418. Rushing touchdowns, Sanders has 99. Smith had 155. Rushing yards per game, Sanders more 99.8. Smith 82.6. Rushing attempts, Barry Sanders had 20. Smith had 19.6, so it's kind of almost even right there. Rushing yards per attempt, Sanders 5, Smith 4.2. Receptions, Barry Sanders had 352, Smith had 500. Smith was a better running back out the field catching the ball. I'll give him that. I will give him that. Now, yards per reception, Sanders had 8.3, Smith had 6.2. Receiving touchdowns, almost even. Smith beats him by 11 to 10. Receptions per game, even, 2.3. Receiving yards per game, 19.1. Smith is 14.8. Yards from scrimmage, Barry Sanders had 18,190 yards. Smith had 20,537. Fumbles, Smith did fumble more than Sanders. He had 57. Sanders had 41. And in the playoffs, Barry Sanders went there 6 times. Smith went there 17 times. Rushing yards, Smith had 1,586 in the playoffs. Barry Sanders only 386. He barely went because his team was like mediocre. He had 1 touchdown, Sanders did. Smith had 19 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, and like that said, from there, we can just more like look at the best seasons. Barry Sanders had 16. He played 16 games in 1998. Smith played 16 in 2003. These are some of the best seasons because they played all the way through. Rushing attempts in 1998, Barry Sanders had 343. Smith had 377 in 1995. Rushing yards in 1997, Barry Sanders, he led the NFL with 2,053 yards. Still one of the top rushing yards in NFL history. Smith had 1,773 in 1995. Rushing touchdowns, Smith had 25 in 1995. Damn, I didn't even know that. Barry Sanders had 16 in 1991. Longest rushing attempt. Barry Sanders, 1994, had an 85 rushing yard touchdown. Smith had in 1991 75-yard touchdown. Rushing yards per game. Barry Sanders averaged 128.3 in 1997. Smith 110.8 in 1995. From there, if you go to anything, like I said, it has to be now who is the better running back and why. Smith, you know, he won 3 rings, like I said, with the Cowboys, but they had one of the most dominant offense in 1990s, and like their offensive line was like ferocious. And if you think about it, even when he scored 25 touchdowns and ran 1,773, it's only because he had like this offensive line that was like a tower. Ain't nobody wasn't trying to run through there. Then he also had Troy Aikman as his quarterback. Then you had Michael Irvin, one of the best wide receivers of all time. Barry Sanders, he didn't have no offensive line. He didn't have good quarterbacks. He had Rodney Peete and shit. He had Herman Moore as a wide receiver. Man, come on. Barry Sanders carried the Detroit Lions, and everybody knew that shit, how good he was. Even he had Scott Mitchell, but he wasn't a great player like that. He didn't have Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks and receivers like Emmitt Smith did. You know? Yes, he had this mediocre team, and they was barely getting to the playoffs, and they would just sneak in to get to the wild card, but they didn't have no, oh my God, they was going to have a Super Bowl run. They never had that. Emmitt Smith, he was a good running back, but the team he had made him better than what it is. So his numbers felt like, to me, was padding. Like, okay, the reason why you're doing so good is because you have this. Barry Sanders, when he get the ball, he had to actually like break 4, 5, 6 tackles just to run down the field. Emmitt Smith had a big ass hole like he in scrimmage, so he would run straight down the field and get like 20, 30 yards. Barry Sanders had to get away from the linebackers and the defensive end and still was getting yards. And I don't care what nobody say. If Barry Sanders would have had an offensive line and some receivers and at least a Pro Bowl quarterback, they would have probably went to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they would have won. They would have went to the Super Bowl. I'm serious, because he would have had an opportunity to get, a ring, get a championship. You know what I'm saying? Win a championship. But to me, I believe Emmitt Smith has more accolades as far as the 3 Super Bowl rings. He leads, the NFL as far as, 155-yard touchdowns, as far as a running back, and he accomplished that. To me, Barry Sanders, it was the better running back in the 90s, one of the greatest running backs ever. You can't take that away from him. And my thing is, that's how I see it, that Barry Sanders, when it comes to, pound for pound, one of the best NFL players of all time, I'm giving it to Barry Sanders. Emmitt Smith, he's done a tremendous job with the Cowboys. I can't take nothing from him. But to me, if the roles were reversed, if Smith was on the Lions and Sanders was on the Cowboys, Sanders would have did beyond Emmitt Smith numbers. I'm telling you that right now. Smith wouldn't be able to even do what Sanders did on the Lions. And everybody know that shit. Everybody knows that, for real. And everybody used to be like, oh my God, Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was like a highlight reel. Like, your eyes was glued to the TV because you knew what you was getting. Like, he was making them people out there work. And I'm not even mad. Yes, I was hurt when Barry Sanders retired. Like, damn, he still was in his prime. Like, why did you retire? But to me, he walked away from the game at the right time. It's my health. And he probably felt like I wasn't going to get a ring. He probably didn't want to go to another team, all the stuff that was going on. He probably just wanted to be loyal. I could be wrong and say, like, if Detroit Lions don't want to build and help me out, I'd rather just walk away from the game with my health, my dignity, and my, my body. Because, he want to still be there for his family. Smith, he did what he did, but to me, you're not the better running back than Barry Sanders. Let me know what you think. Who you think was the better running back in the 90s? Sanders or Smith? Post your comments below. Hope smash Black Panther, the like button, subscribe to my channel. Click the bell icon to be notified when I upload new content and go live. If you'd like to support and donate to the channel, I have Patreon, patreon.com/KofiUniverse. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Streamlabs, everything's in the description. Until next time, peace.